We're so excited that you're joining us in New Orleans, and you'll be joined by more than 5,000 museum professionals who will spend the 4 days learning, sharing, networking, and discovering together. It can be an overwhelming experience, and we hope that by the end of today's webinar, you'll be able to navigate New Orleans and the Convention Center easily. You'll know how to plan your schedule ahead of time using our website and mobile app, and you'll have all the insight tips that you need to have a productive and positive annual meeting experience. So here's a little bit about what we're going to cover today, some of the essentials, where are things happening. We'll cover the mobile app and social media. We'll also talk about sessions, the Museum Expo, networking activities and special events, tips and tricks, and of course we'll have time at the end for things that I did not cover. So the essentials. How many times people have attended? So this was really interesting this morning to see that there's over 1,200 people that have registered for the conference, and this is their first time attending. So we've got a small subset of that currently on the phone with us today. So it's really important to cover all of these items, but you're not alone is the one thing I wanted to say about being a first-time attendee. There's many, many of you. But there's also an equal amount who have attended 1 or 3 other times, 4 to 7, or 8 to 10. And we've been doing this conference for many, many, many years. So leaving that, let's talk about once you arrive in New Orleans. We were really hoping that the new airport was going to be open on time for us, but they are delayed. But when you arrive at MSY, which is the airport, you'll head down to baggage claim where the New Orleans Local Host Committee will welcome you in true New Orleans style. I don't want to give away some things that they have planned there, but you won't be able to miss them. Volunteers will be on hand to answer questions you might have about transportation, and you can get from the airport to your hotel via taxi, Uber, Lyft, or airport shuttle. We have a discount for Lyft and the airport shuttle, which I'll share during our tips and tricks session. I did want to list on here where is everything. So all of the sessions will be happening at the Convention Center. I've listed the address here. It'll also be on our website. For those that may be attending professional network lunches or meetings or the Excellence Reception, those will be held at the New Orleans Marriott, which is our headquarter hotel. For those that may need assistance with accessible transportation, we've been in contact for most folks who have notified us already, but if you haven't, there is a phone number listed here on the slide for you to call and make accommodations, and they will transport you around the conference to official conference events. For those that are on the phone and not seeing the slides, it's 504-330-9153. And we'll also send this out in the Know Before You Go email as well, which you'll be getting in a couple short weeks. We will have shuttle bus transportation in between the New Orleans Marriott, which is the headquarter hotel, and the Convention Center. Shuttle bus service will run every 10 to 15 minutes from Monday through Wednesday. And for a few folks who are staying at the JW Marriott, the Sheraton, the Hotel Monteleone, and I think there's maybe one other hotel that is right next door to the New Orleans Marriott, you all are welcome to jump on that shuttle bus to head over to the Convention Center. I'll talk a little bit about the lay of the land and where things are in a couple of minutes. But most of the other hotels are either directly across the street from the hotel or the Convention Center or within 1 or 2 blocks of that. A note on learning excursions and evening events, because many of you are signed up for those. All of the departures for all of our events will take place from the Convention Center Hall G. We will have signage and volunteers to help you get around, make sure that you're on those buses, but pickups and drop-offs will happen at the Convention Center for all evening events and for learning excursions that have transportation. What we've done this year is we've listed on everybody's tickets, which you will get at registration when you pick up your badge, the specific transportation information for your event. And then on the website and in the mobile app, we will also have timetables listed for when buses will arrive at the evening events and when they will return back to the convention center as well, so that you can make plans if you're going to dinner or running back to your hotel room and want to make sure that you catch the bus before it heads out for events. So again, all of the busing information will be on your tickets, and it'll also be in the mobile app. Let's talk about accessibility. We aim to make sure that the needs of all of our attendees are accommodated so that everyone can have the best experience possible. To that end, we'll have sign language interpreters and closed captioning during the general session. Volunteers will also be available to serve as sighted guides, and a service dog relief area is also indicated on the map, which I will share with you all shortly, and will also be in the mobile app. Our self-care lounge is available during official conference hours for lactation, prayer, meditation, or just a quiet space to rest. We'll also have a private lactation space closer to the Museum Expo in Lobby D. Detailed accessibility information about all of our off-site events and excursions can be found online and in the mobile app. The staff at the AAM information desk, as well as volunteers in our teal shirts, will also be able to answer any accessibility questions that you have. Most of our food functions are served buffet style to allow attendees to choose their own meals. We aim to provide a wide variety of options at each meal function to accommodate all dietary needs. Menus for all of our food functions will be available in the mobile app, so you'll be able to plan ahead. You can find information about the accommodations provided in our program book, which you'll all get when you check in on site. So on the screen, I have a map here. Again, you'll all get copies of these slides, but we're kind of spread out among the downtown New Orleans area. So of course, in the top right corner is the French Quarter, and we have several hotels in that area. The headquarter hotel, which I mentioned, the New Orleans Marriott, is on Canal Street. It is about a 20-minute walk from that hotel to the convention center, which is kind of down towards the left of the screen by the number 9 on this map. As I mentioned, the Sheraton is directly across the street from the New Orleans Marriott. The JW Marriott is just a half a block up, and the Monteleone is right around the corner. So those are the 4 that are right next to each other and easy access for the shuttle bus that'll be bringing you back and forth between the headquarter hotel and the convention center. Down at the convention center, we have a number of hotels as well that are in our official block: the Hampton Inn and Suites, the Hyatt Place, the Meridian, the New Orleans Downtown Marriott at the convention center. So I just want to point out the distinction there. There are 2 Marriotts. Our headquarter is the New Orleans Marriott. This other one is the one at the convention center. There's also the Omni Hotel, the Renaissance Arts, and the Old 77 and the Westin. I would say if you're staying at the Meridian or the Westin, it's about a 7 to 10 minute walk. And then those staying right across the convention center, as I said, it's about a block. Everything looks a lot larger on this map that I have on there, but it is very close when you're actually on the ground there. You can see the convention center here in blue on the bottom left-hand side, long rectangle right by the expressway, and the number 3, which is the Hampton Inn. Our entrance to our hall we're in hall D, E, and F. So if you're staying at the Hampton Inn, you could roll right out of bed and head straight over to registration and the sessions. All right. I think we've covered everything on the map. All right, so once you're in the convention center, everything is stacked on top of each other. We're nicely condensed within the convention center space, although there are 2 other citywide conventions happening during our time. So if you were to walk from, say, the Westin, you would pass through halls A, B, and C, and I think it's a jewelry show. And then our show is in D, E, F. And then there's something at the far end of the convention that is only there for a day or so it wouldn't really conflict with our conference at all. So when you get dropped off, if you are taking the shuttle bus, you will be dropped off over here in by hall G, which is just 1 hall off of where our hall is. It is not this dotted line. Unfortunately, it just happened to be right where we were going to put the listing for the bus drop-off. So buses will drop off right outside of Hall G. Registration is in lobby EF, which is on this upper side of the map that I'm showing. The Museum Expo entrance is just to the right of that. And directly across from registration is the info desk, our advanced check-in. So if you've pre-registered, you can scan your badge QR code, and it'll print all of your tickets and everything if you don't have any changes. First aid is next to that as well. And then, of course, we'll have signage for all of these things. This is just to give you a lay of the land, as I mentioned. The lactation room that I previously mentioned next to the Expo Hall is on the left-hand side as well. So this is the lobby level of the convention center. The Expo opens Monday at noon, and we're in Hall DEF, and I'll show you a map of that image as well. I know that there are questions coming in on the chat, and I will pause in a little bit and answer them in a couple seconds. All right, so let's go up for the second floor, which is where you'll start finding some of the offices and the session rooms. So on the second floor, of things to note, there are 3 sections where concurrent sessions are happening. The self-care lounge is on 242, so it's the lower room on this screen or on this image. International room, if there's any presenters on the phone that are presenting in that area, you are in 254. If you are also presenting, the speaker ready room is on the second floor as well in 255, 256. Our general session and several of our open forum sessions will be happening in the La Nouvelle Ballroom, which is the octagonal image on the right-hand side. There is a green image to the center of the photo and to the left of the photo. Those are the escalators that go up to the 3rd floor. There are also many elevators, and we will indicate those on the floor plans, which will be in the mobile app, because I know there are some folks asking questions about it for accessibility reasons. But most of the sessions really are on the 3rd floor. The only thing that is on the 3rd floor that's an office is the volunteer office and the lost and found. Other than that, almost every room that we're using upstairs is for concurrent sessions. And so that's everything for the sessions and where we are within the convention center. So I'm going to pause just for a second because there are 2 questions in the chat to me. I'm coming in for the day. Will there be a bag check for luggage? We will offer bag check, and I'm just going to go back on the screen, on Tuesdays and Wednesday. Bag check will be right over here, directly across from the lactation room. It'll be pretty well defined, and you'll be able to see it. If you're coming in just for Monday, just send me a note privately in the chat, and we can talk about what options you might have for storing your bag. There's another question from earlier about the pie chart that I had with 30% listing as other. Yes, we have information for what they wrote as other. I just didn't include the breakdown for what everybody typed in. We will have that and share that pre-conference as well as post-conference once all the registration has been said and done. Will there be a welcoming committee at the airport on Saturday? No, they will start on Sunday, but we will still have signage in the lobby of the baggage claim area starting probably on, I think, Friday night is when we start listing our signage. All right, we're going to move on, and I'm going to come back to some more questions in a couple of minutes. So the second floor, 3rd floor. All right, so let's talk about registration. You have 2 options for picking up your badge. For those that have already registered, you can pick up your badge from the convention center starting on Saturday at noon. I've listed the times in a table here. So Saturday is from 12 to 5, Sunday from 7 to 6, Monday and Tuesday are also from 7 to 6, and then we have registration on Wednesday from 7:30 to 1. We are also offering express checkout at the Marriott Hotel. So again, if you're staying at any of those properties nearby the headquarter hotel, you are also welcome to stop by and print off your badge there. We'll have registration support over there. It's definitely a quick pro tip of beating the lines and checking in on Saturday or Sunday, or at least stopping by the Marriott to do that and not having to wait to do it over at the convention center. That's that. And then just a couple of other items to note. Make sure you bring your ID with you, and just a heads up that all bags are subject to search. And I'll talk more about being safe and our safety and security plan later on in the presentation. So this slide might be a lot and might be a while since you've thought about what is included in your registration. So I did want to just hit on a couple of things because we have many folks on the phone across many different registration types. For mostly everybody, you have access to the exhibit hall Monday through Wednesday, access to 3 days of educational sessions, general sessions, the keynote, and poster presentations. The MuseumExpo opening reception and lunch on Monday, May 20th, which features free food. The MuseumExpo closing breakfast on Wednesday, May 22nd, also free food. Access to speaker presentations and handouts, and 1 free evening event ticket. For those that may have selected a 1-day pass, you have access to the exhibit hall for the day that you selected, and access to education sessions, that day's general session, and that day's handouts and presentations in the mobile app as well. And if you've signed up just for the expo only, your access is just the exhibit hall for the day that you selected. All right, food, which is super important in New Orleans, and I like to plan my conference itinerary around food and where it is and what am I going to get, and what chef do I want to stop by and see, and you will have lots of access to food in New Orleans. So I just want to talk about some of the options that we have in the expo hall as you're thinking about food. MuseumExpo, as I mentioned previously, lunch is on Monday, and that's included in almost everybody's ticket except for I think the expo only. The breakfast is on Wednesday. Both of those are free to attendees. You do not have to pay for any of the food. Tuesday, for any breakfast or lunches or things like that, food is available for purchase. They have cash and credit card, and we've picked some really, really great concessions with the convention center. There's a gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian food truck inside the hall. There's a New Orleans-themed food truck in the hall as well. I think it's called Big Easy, and lots of things in between. For those that are worried about coffee, we got you covered. There is a huge Starbucks in the lobby of the convention center. We'll also have coffee for purchase on the 2nd floor, right by the concurrent sessions. There'll be coffee for purchase inside the expo hall. And I'm going to let you in on a little tip of something I am incredibly excited about. But we will have famed barista artists in the expo hall doing portraits of people in their latte art, and that'll be over by the AAM booth Monday and Tuesday. And so you definitely want to get in line for that. I found him a year or so ago, and I stood in a line for an hour to get it done because I thought it was so cool. So just a quick tip there, you'll be able to find him in the expo hall. There'll be lots of coffee and paid food options throughout the convention center is basically all I'm trying to tell you. Outside of the convention center, it's a little barren. So the next opportunity for food nearby are some fast food options. And of course, if you have signed up for a lunch, a PN event at the hotel, lunch and whatever food arrangements will be provided for those as well. But at the convention center itself, your free lunch, your free breakfast on Monday and Wednesday, opening and closing parties has enough New Orleans food for you to check off every box that you could think of. And then we have lots of coffee and paid food options throughout. One thing about the opening and closing party, light appetizers will be served, and just a reminder that 1 drink ticket is included with each event registration. There will be additional drink tickets included or available for purchase on site at the museum. And if anybody has any food allergies, I certainly do. Again, the menus for all of these events will be available in the mobile app in a couple of, I want to say a couple of weeks, but really there's only 2 weeks left, so sometime early next week. So let's talk about the mobile app and social media. The AAM Events mobile app is your one-stop shop for all things annual meeting. To download it, search AAM Events in the App Store or Google Play. I know it is available right now, but I can tell you that we are still fine-tuning and tweaking some things, so you could go ahead and download the mobile app, but we're pushing our official launch on Friday, May 3rd. In the app, you'll be able to view the conference schedule, explore sessions, build your personal schedule, access speaker bios, handouts, presentations, a map of the convention center, and provide feedback on the sessions that you've attended. We certainly have a very active Twitter community. We invite you to join us in the conversation. The hashtag is listed on the slide. It's hashtag AAM2019, and you don't have to wait until you're on site. Many of the attendees are already talking to each other and trying to meet up and find people on Twitter. If you're not a Twitter person, we are also available on Facebook and Instagram, and in the mobile app, you'll also be able to access our accounts as well if you wanted to tweet or share something with us as well. We just added a social media toolkit on our website as well. So if you want to share that you're attending or sponsoring or you're an exhibitor, we have those images available for you to download and suggested tweets as well. All right, let's talk about the conference education because most of you attend these sessions. Our annual meeting is the conference for museum professionals to gain valuable insight into industry trends, innovations, and to generally advance their career. This year, attendees will have 150 sessions to choose from, which fall under 10 different tracks. All attendees will be able to attend 3 all-star keynote presentations on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. New this year, we're having poster sessions in the MuseumExpo. The posters will be available to explore for the duration of the conference, and there'll be a dedicated poster session on Tuesday from 12 to 2 p.m. At that time, you'll be able to stop by and talk with each poster presenter about their work. Their posters will also be available in the mobile app so that you can get a preview of them as well. The Solution Center and Tech Innovation Hub, both in the MuseumExpo, will also have presentations, demonstrations, and interactive sessions over the course of the conference. These are great places to participate in more hands-on learning or small group discussions. A full listing of the sessions and activities being held in these areas can, of course, be found in the mobile app in the program book. And I will just add that the Solution Center and the Tech Innovation Hub, for those that I guess everyone on the phone might be new, those are new-ish areas. We've kind of refined some things that we had in the past, but the Solution Center is really home for attendees. And I mean that from the sense that if you want to have a pop-up meeting, you want to convene a group, you want to find a place to grab a cup of coffee with somebody, the Solution Center is available for you to schedule and book while you're on site. There will be a lovely volunteer there that can tell you what tables are open and available for you to make a reservation for. Also want to mention our AAM Resource Center because that is where you can find AAM. We'll have presentations from our accreditation team, the Center for Future Museums, our excellence team, our membership team, and of course, we're also the bookstore and bookstore conversations and discussions will be happening as well. All right, so let's talk about starting to build your itinerary. On the screen is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in a table, and there's really just 3 sessions that you need to pick on Monday, on Tuesday, and 1 on Wednesday. And so I find this slide to be helpful as you're filling in the blanks of what it is that you're going to be doing and what are you attending and what are all the invitations you're getting and you're going to say yes to. I start with food, like I already said, but once I fill in my food pieces, I start to figure out, okay, what time are the sessions and how many do I need to pick? So again, you want to pick 3 on Monday, 3 on Tuesday, and 1 on Wednesday. And we have a really impressive slate of keynote speakers this year, which I'll talk about in a second. But one thing I will say in building your itinerary is, even though you're picking your sessions, keep in mind that you may feel that that session didn't meet your needs, or there's going to be more than one that's happening at the same time, right? There's a lot of FOMO that happens as first-timers, and I would say in general for attendees of any conference, you will never be able to see and do everything that you would love to do at the conference, right? You don't want to burn yourself out. And we'll talk about that later in the conference or later in today's presentation. So here's some of our keynotes. I realize that this table is probably not the best way, but on our website under keynotes, you can see a much prettier version of the images of the keynote speakers that we have. We have a panel on Monday after our awards featuring Carol Bell, Mitch Landrew, and Rick Lowe. On Tuesday, we have Kimberly Drew, and on Wednesday, we have Jose Antonio Vargas. Jose will also be available to sign books immediately after his talk on Wednesday in the bookstore. So let's talk about the itinerary builder. I'm going to go back and forth between this slide and the next slide. For those of you on the phone, this will make sense if you can see the presentations later, but I can also walk you through if there's an accessibility issue, and I can help you build your itinerary with that. So if you have navigated over to this full schedule page of ours, on the top right-hand corner is the login. And when you log in, you will enter your badge ID and your email address. And this is where you'll start saving your sessions. You can sort by the date, the track, the level of experience, the audience that it's geared towards. You can also search by session formats. And then we did something new this year, which we'd love your feedback on, is we group things kind of into these 4 buckets. Listen and learn, participate and share, explore and create, engage and connect. And so we thought this was a little bit easier way to find all of the many, many things that are happening at the annual meeting. And you can see that on the left-hand side of the screen of the left-hand nav. There's a schedule at a glance. You can browse the schedule by all of the means that I mentioned previously. And then if you clicked on listen and learn, participate and share, explore and create, engage or connect, you'll see the pop-out window that talks about each of the functions that we have at the conference. So whether you're looking for the networking events or evening events, or you're looking for a track, left-hand navigation is going to be where you will do that. So I want to give you some suggestions for what to put on your itinerary. So on Sunday, this is really perfect for first-timers. We try and match first-timers up with those that have been to the conference more than once. And so we hope that you'll be able to join us at Maximizing Your AAM Experience session on Sunday, May 19th from 1 to 3 p.m. That'll be led by our Allison Tittman and our resident futurist, Beth Merritt of AAM. They'll also help you navigate the conference. They'll take you on a tour of the convention center and share their networking tips and best ways to leverage the experience of the annual meeting. We also host 2 mixers on Sunday evening. The Emerging Professionals Mixer, which will be at Bar Arcadia, which is just across the street from the Renaissance Arts Hotel and next door to the old number 77 hotel. Our DEAI mixer for those working in the field is at Cafe Ernst, which is just a short walk from the convention center. Both of those are from 4 to 5:30. They're free events. Come and start meeting people as soon as you get there. Of course, we'll do some networking at the Maximizing Your AAM Experience, but this is a lot more casual, fun environment. And then for those that might not be doing either of those 2 things and want to start exploring the French Quarter and New Orleans and everything that it has to offer, assuming that you're not at a learning excursion, or even if you are at a learning excursion, the local host committee and the French Quarter Museum Association have put together a hospitality center at the historic New Orleans collection, and we'll list this in the schedule, the address for that. And it's just a place for you to recharge, grab some refreshments as you're walking around the quarter. Again, that's open throughout the conference. We'll list the days, but if you want to stop by on Sunday, you haven't signed up for any learning excursions, and you want to check out some of the museums in the French Quarter, Historic New Orleans collection is really a great place to do that. Another suggestion for you, for those that want to make sure they are staying healthy on their travels, we're offering a bar class at the Headquarter Hotel from 7 to 8 a.m. on Monday, and then a yoga class on Tuesday from 7 to 8 a.m. as well. We're providing the mats, towels, you just bring yourself. Also on Monday, again, the first session of the day starts at 9 a.m. So you have a little bit of time after that bar class to go back to your room or change and get on the shuttle over to the convention center. And our opening lunch, again, is from 12 to 2, and that's free food. On Tuesday, just flagging, our poster session is from 12 to 2. And on Wednesday, please join us for our closing breakfast from 8 to 9 a.m. All right, so MuseumExpo. With 250 exhibitors, there is something for everybody. Even if you aren't the decision maker, walk the floor, meet vendors, and maybe you'll come back to your museum with new ideas and recommendations. Our local host committee has also put together an amazing hospitality area called the Lanyap Lounge. And there you stop by, listen to some music from local radio station WWOZ, learn how the Mardi Gras Indians make their costumes. And there is definitely going to be a lot of food and drink in this booth. If you are looking for a beignets or authentic gumbo, head over to the Lanyap Lounge and maybe note to self, do not wear black on the days that they are serving the beignets. You can also meet and learn about what the professional networks are doing in the Solution Center. And as I mentioned before, it's also a great place to meet with a colleague or host your own gathering or conversation, and you can schedule time in the Solution Center with the on-site volunteer. Museums and Race is also having their 4th annual Transformation and Justice Lounge. They're engaging local artists to tell the unique stories of New Orleans, hosting community ciphers to dialogue about pressing issues of museums, race, and practice, and invites our weary conference travelers to recharge in the relaxation pod. I think my next slide is an aerial view of what the MuseumExpo will look like, and I'll point out where some of these things are as well. And I know that there are questions, and I will come back to you in just a little bit. All right, so this crazy mess of lines is the Expo Hall. From left to right, Hall D is on the left, Hall E is in the center, and Hall F is on the right-hand side. If you are at the bottom of this image, in lobby E is where we talked about registration, coat check, lactation room, where the drop-off points are going to be for the buses. There's also an outside food court over there in the lobby area. But in the main Expo Center, the image to the top right-hand side is the Alliance Resource Center, which features the bookstore, which also has a cafe in it this year. And of course, our staff who are on hand to answer any questions that you may have about your membership or excellence or conference questions. To the right of that, towards the end of the booth area, is the Lanyap Lounge, which is where I mentioned you can get your gumbo and your beignets, and they may or may not be serving hurricanes and doing a drink demonstration. On the opposite side, to the left hand of this image, is the Solution Center, and there are many things in there. The setup and format of those: roundtable discussions, one-on-one conversations, theater that we have for presentations. Our poster presentations will be there as well. And then a little bit below that, kind of midway, right by the Alliance Resource Center, is the Technology Innovation Pavilion and our hub. This is a hands-on area where if you have questions about AR, VR, you want to get a demonstration, want to learn how to use Facebook Live for your museum, this is the place that you'll go for those presentations as well. And Museums and Race Lounge is just right below the Technology Innovation Center as well. There will be concessions and food, as I mentioned, and lots of seating, and that's in the top part of the diagram as well. All right, so you are all there not only to learn, but probably to network. And so let's talk about some of the networking opportunities and how you can connect with your peers. Every year, the local host committee puts together a day of behind-the-scenes museum tours and learning opportunities. This year's committee has created 37 learning excursions, all happening on Sunday, May 19th. Offered in 90-minute, 3-hour, and 6-hour increments, these learning excursions allow you to customize your experience and learn more about New Orleans while networking with your peers. Many excursions are already sold out. If you haven't added one to your registration yet, I highly suggest that you do so. Again, I've mentioned our professional networks. These are organized around job responsibilities and areas of common interest, and professional networks are available to you as part of individual professional member benefits. The PNs, as they're known, host evening events and gatherings throughout the conference, including breakfast and lunch meetings and evening receptions. I also mentioned our mixers earlier on. Again, these are free. Anybody can attend, but we are hosting an Emerging Professionals mixer on Sunday from 4 to 5:30 at Barcadia, and the DEI mixer is at Ernst Cafe. Our opening and closing events, the local host committee is rolling out the red carpet for everybody. And as mentioned, most registrants receive one free evening ticket as part of their registration. If you haven't selected your event yet, please do so before you arrive on site. A limited number of tickets will be available for sale at the conference. And if you want to go to both, ticket prices are $45 for an additional evening event ticket. All right, so I'm going to just pause right there. I'm going to check on questions in a second, but I do want to launch a poll here and just ask, what evening event do you plan on going to? And while we're waiting for that, I'll just address some of the questions. So there's a question about finding images to post for social media. We have a social media toolkit on the annual meeting site under the attend dropdown, and those images say I'm attending, I'm sponsoring, I'm exhibiting. Dress code for evening events. The event in general is pretty business casual. You don't need to wear a suit, and it's New Orleans, so it's going to be hot as all get out probably. So I think business casual is great, but I'll talk about that in a couple seconds also. There was a question about if these sessions will be recorded. Yes, they are. This is being recorded. Oh, sorry. This one is being recorded. That was a different question from somebody else. This session is being recorded and will be available to you all afterwards. In terms of our sessions and recording those, we are not recording very many sessions. The only sessions that are being recorded this year are the general sessions, the keynote speakers. So if you are unable to attend a session, there will not be a recording available for you for that presentation. All right, so I think we've got everybody in. Looks like the opening party is the leader, closing party right behind. Undecided, totally understand, lots of things going on, trying to figure out what you want to do. And then there's a handful of you that aren't joining us for either of those. I'm just going to share that result. All right, let's move on and talk about tips and tricks and making the most of your time while you're there. So planning ahead is really key. And this is where a lot of conference goers, I think, don't take advantage of this time between now and when they arrive on site. Make your itinerary in the app. Star everything, favorite everything, and then go in and edit what's realistic for you to attend. Look at the schedule and menus to find out ahead of time where you're eating. Again, I'm very food driven, so you'll see that you'll probably check off some of your food bingo if you're trying to get a po' boy in, muffalata, and any of the other New Orleans specialties. Again, the menus will be available. And like I said before, pick a backup session in case your session is full or isn't meeting your expectations. Make sure you also take care of yourself. As I mentioned, we do have the self-care lounge that is available for you throughout the conference. The lights will be dimmed. We'll have some tea and some water in there, but take a few moments for yourself. Don't run yourself ragged. You know, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Make sure you eat. You'll be surprised how many people don't do this during conferences and are running around. Same is true for hydration. You want to make sure that you take care of yourself at the conference as well. Keep in mind the distance when scheduling meetings. As I mentioned, if you're staying at the headquarter hotel, a Marriott, it's a 20-minute walk. You'll also want to figure in time if you're not walking and you're going to take that shuttle. You want to factor in the shuttle is running every 10 to 15 minutes when you're scheduling meetings. Our evening event, our opening evening event, is about a 25-minute drive away. It's within the New Orleans city limits, but there is a lot of traffic and construction going on. So it is going to take you a little bit to get to places. And I think people don't realize that when they're planning their schedules. Beat the crowds. Definitely get there early. Be smart about the expo floor. Make your plan of what exhibitors you're going to visit. Use the floor layout to target some companies that you're looking into. In terms of beating the crowds and getting there early, again, I mentioned pick up your badge Saturday or Sunday. Try and do it during an off hour. We don't have very many registration lines, but still it's nice to just get it out of the way and make sure that you have everything that you need. And make sure you schedule some downtime for yourself as well. All right, lost my thing. All right, last coming to the end, and then we'll start opening up for questions in a minute. But we also want to remind you to be safe, be aware of your surroundings. Like any city, it's important to remember that. Yes, you will be wearing your conference badge. You might want to tuck it away from sight so you're not, you know, a walking beacon of tourism should something happen. Don't walk home alone if you can. AAM staff and volunteers will be happy to walk you back to your hotel if you should need it. And we take the safety and security of our attendees very seriously, and that's why this year we have advanced our security at the Expo entrance as well. We will do bag searches, we will have metal detectors, and it's not because anything has happened. We just want to make sure that we serve as a deterrent, and we want to make sure that we keep our attendees safe. We're also going to launch a chatbot this year, and you will receive a text message from the bot asking you to opt in, and that is for our emergency management. Should something happen, we'll communicate to attendees through a text messaging feature, letting you know whatever the situation is, if it's been resolved or not. So you'll see that a day or two before we start the annual meeting. I also want to make sure I mention our code of conduct, which we launched last year. I encourage all of you to read it. But in short, the American Alliance Museums is dedicated to providing a safe, inclusive, and welcoming conference experience for everyone. We do not tolerate discrimination or harassment in any form. All right, I want to talk about some discounts before we go to questions. 1 second. If you have not yet booked your flight yet, we do offer a few discounts for Delta and American Airlines. This is on our Ways to Save page on the annual meeting site. We also negotiated a parking discount for 20% off your airport parking. No matter what city you're coming from, you can visit that on the Ways to Save as well, but it's cheapairportparking.org. On our website, we have the promo code that you would use to pay for parking. We also negotiated an airport shuttle that'll bring you from the airport to the hotels that are in our block. If you book that ahead of time, it's $20 per person one way or $40 round trip. That is definitely a savings. I can tell you that an Uber ride for at least one person generally runs you in the $35 range, and that's one way. We also were able to negotiate a 10% off your first ride discount with Lyft. The promo code is on the slide here. It is also on our Ways to Save, but it is AAM NOLA, one word, if you want to use that. And then we're also listing in the mobile app just in a couple of days here where your conference badge is good for. Many of our museum partners are offering discounted admission or free admission. And then there's also a conference passport at registration, which will also offer you discounts for restaurants and bars at the area as well, All right, so let's talk about if there's anything that I didn't cover. I'm gonna head to questions in the chat, so go ahead and type your questions in, and I will start reading them as soon as I get them. So first question, for the Lyft discount, is it first-time users of Lyft ever or first-time users in New Orleans? That is a great question. I was under the understanding that it's first-time users of Lyft, but I will clarify that and I will put it on the Ways to Save page, and I will also update the Know Before You Go email before it goes out with a full answer to that question. Will there be transportation provided to the opening evening event from the convention center? Yes. We will have the full transportation of what time the buses will be leaving, but yes, all transportation for the opening and closing event will leave from the convention center. The closing party is walkable to several hotels, so there'll be a few less buses than there would be for the opening party. Okay, they're coming in fast and furious. I'm gonna try and keep up here. All right, let's see what else. Okay, so there's a question about the emergency. In case of emergency, medical or otherwise, who should we contact? So we do go into some of this detail on site and in the program book as well. But for short, if you want to know, when you're in the convention center, you will not call 911. They have an internal team that will respond and be able to know where you are. You will use the red emergency phone. We also list the emergency phone number in the program book as well, but you should not call 911 if you're at the convention center. Outside of the convention center, you can call 911 for any of your emergency medical or otherwise needs. Great question. What is something you wish you would have known when you first went to the AAM convention? So I've only actually been here for a year and a half. So last year was my first AAM meeting. And I would say the first thing that I would have personally known, well, we were in Phoenix and there was a lot of water, and I really wished I would have brought my reusable water bottle because I was dying. But also the number of steps that you're going to take at the meeting is pretty aggressive. I think I lost about 20,000 steps. So I would tell you, bring a jacket, bring a sweater. The rooms get cold. Bring a reusable water bottle so that you can fill up and stay hydrated. Bring in snacks. Even though we'll have concessions open, snacks are helpful. And again, just being mindful of the time it takes and not overwhelming yourself with scheduling things because you want to check off everything at your first conference. All right, scrolling up for other questions. Let's see. Will there be reusable bags provided? There will not be reusable bags provided, so you should bring a bag that can carry everything. There was a question in there about dress code. Yes, I mentioned dress code. Business casual will serve you well. For most things, jeans and things like that, that is fine. There really isn't a formal dress code for any of the evening events. Lots of questions about posters. So the posters is new for us this year. For those that may attend other conferences, it is a way for presenters to show the work that they are doing visually. So whether that's research, a grad student, somebody working on new methodologies. And so those presentations will be on Tuesday from 12 to 2, but the posters will be available for you to view the entire time at the conference from 12 to 2 on Tuesday. The authors of those posters and that work will be there at their posters to answer questions that folks may have. For a question about the mobile app and accessing it, you'll need your badge ID and your email address to be able to log in. Again, we're still working out the mobile app, so it's really not ready for prime time yet. I was just mentioning it because I knew folks were going to go over and download it. So Friday, really, it should be fully functional and working. All right. Is there anything else that I did not cover? We've got a couple more minutes left. So I will say that we are very excited. It's been a while since we've been in New Orleans. The last time that AAM was there was pre-Hurricane Katrina. So we are really looking forward to returning to New Orleans, and the local host committee has really planned some really great, special, memorable experiences for everybody. There is a question about the airport shuttles. I will send you a note afterward, but it is a airport shuttle company that is run by the New Orleans airport, and I don't know the hours or how late that they run, but there is a phone number and website on our site about transportation that you can call and click on to make that reservation and find out those hours. So we will make sure that that information, if it's not, I'm pretty sure it is in the travel page as well. I'm a logistics nerd, so I'm sure I talked very fast probably about things that you may or may not have cared about. If you have any questions that I didn't answer in this, please feel free to email me. I'm going to type my email in the chat box in a second. For those that are on the phone, I'll spell it out in a minute. All right, so for those at the chat, I've typed my email in if you want to send me a question. For those that are on the phone and haven't been able to see my slides, my email is V as in Victor, M as in Mary, O, N as in Nancy, E as in Eddie, Y at AAM-Meeting Happy to answer questions. Like I said, I know it is an overwhelming experience, and you've invested time and money both in being here today and with us in New Orleans for 4 days, and I want to make sure that we take great care of you. Have a great day. We will see you in just under 18 days, and we will talk to you later. Have a great one. Bye.